This was how I was dancing yesterday at the leg press machine when I was really psyching myself up to pump that iron because sometimes I really gotta walk in. Which, speaking of, I have to tell you now that I think about it, my legs feel pretty good for how much I worked legs yesterday. So, shout out to my quads and my hamstrings. I appreciate you guys
There you go. Sometimes you gotta give your body some love back and be like, "Hey, I appreciate you doing all that stuff for me,
all the
or keeping
time.
me
Our
keeping me
body
up on my legs."
responds. Our body
Oh yeah.
responds, people, to us talking to it. Which, by the way, well, first off, it is episode 106 of For No Particular Reason with your amazing host, Yanko Yankov, who sounds like Kermit the Frog today. I kind of mess with the vibe. And myself, Kerri Lewis, who does not sound like Kermit the Frog, but am high vibing anyway. And we
That's
have
right.
a show every week to talk about anything, everything, nothing, and whatever comes up in between. And if you guys want to interact with us, drop your thoughts, have engaging conversation. We are always super grateful for that. So thank you for listening, for watching, for being here and sharing in this space. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to start with.
Well, thank you, because I wasn't gonna do a better intro than you did. Voice is kind of draggy too, so thank you guys and for showing up with us our Fridays and exchange energy with us, and talk about whatever you inspired and share thoughts, ideas, and things like that.
Okay, so that goes back to our body response. So yes, not yesterday, last week I'm sitting here in a spin class, right? And I'm locked in and I'm zoned into the music, which was all like old paradigms. I'm gonna just say that, like
Mm.
talking about heartbreak and I'm gonna come back and show you blah blah blah. And I'm thinking to myself while I'm doing this spin class, which is beating my ass, by the way. I'm like, I'm going to create high vibrational music for my workouts and anybody else who wants to listen to it. Because if we know that our body will respond to our thoughts, right? And if I'm listening to music that is like a low vibration, it's impacting me. But if I am, and I do this, so for everybody who is interested, I will sit there in my spin class. I'll be like, I am limitless. I am expensive. Like I lift my body up. I speak life into my body while I'm moving through whatever experience I'm having. So, I look forward to seeing and being part of the change within the fitness community around the music that we're listening to as we like expand, because working out's expanding your body, you're growing. Um and I have seen significantly better results with my workouts when I speak life into my body rather than speak poorly to it, which I used to do.
I mean, everything. It's vibration. Our bodies are vibration. We keep repeating the same thing, but it makes sense that you know, and this is why back in the day, saying prayer before you eat the food was so like a thing, because you charge the food that you're gonna eat or the water on the table with high vibes, like you send some positive energy, then you take it back and you put it in your body, and then your body becomes nurtured. Which, yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is again why, for people who may feel resistance to this idea that we're energy or we're vibration, that's fine. But you can always test it because your muscles will respond to the words that you say to it. It just does. So I really encourage you guys to um Carry sing to your chickens? Okay, I will. Let me like drop into that experience in a minute. But no, I really listen to everything we say. So if hearing the fact that we're vibration feels really uh foreign to you, unfamiliar, just test it out. See how changing how you speak to yourself impacts your physical experience, your body when you're working out, when you're having to do a task. In the past, I would tear myself down. Come on, bitch, you have to do this, figure this out. You're so dumb. And I literally spoke death into my body. But as I learned that I was vibration, as I learned that words have power and have the ability to help me achieve the result that I'm looking for in a much more easy and seamless way, I've really worked towards that. Yeah.
Are you gonna sing now?
I'm
And then
thinking
I'm gonna
about
add
it, like,
something to
like,
it.
I'm
Go
a
ahead.
giver, I have to be in flow, so chickadoos, I hope you know I appreciate what you bring to the earth, eating up those worms who create the dirt. So thank you, chickadees, for being you. Not gonna lie, I kind of consume you, but just know I do bless my food. So thank you, chickens, for hatching eggs and being you. There you go. Your chickens got some love.
See, I didn't know you had a song for that, but Bonnie knew. So thanks, Bonnie, for
I
inspiring
didn't, I didn't know I had
kid.
a song for chickens either, but hell, listen,
Oh, I thought you did.
I mean, I did now because it came through me. But that goes
Okay.
to here's the thing for the listening audience. When you don't take your life seriously and you're not so consumed with the idea of how somebody else is going to perceive you, you're in flow. And when you're in flow, you just know and you start spitting tunes because you want to. Oh, and you're having fun because life's too short to care what anybody thinks of you. And so it's just, I don't know. But now I know I can sing a song to chickens. So thank you, Bonnie, for that. I appreciate you.
We didn't know, and now we know. The
Well,
chicken song.
in the grand scheme of things, we're limitless. So from that
Right.
perspective, I always remind myself that I have access to anything. Like, for example, right? First thought while I'm spinning is I'm going to create music to be high vibrational when I work out. Second thought, you can't do that. You don't know how to do that. Third thought was, bitch, watch me, please. Of course, I know how to do that because I have been conditioned to limit myself, but I also have tapped into consciousness, which tells me I'm limitless. So, yeah, my ego will kick in and try to give me all these reasons as to why I can't achieve something, but I don't listen to it. I'm like, first off, I need you to help me execute. So I appreciate you being at the table. However, you don't actually get to tell me how I'm going to live my life. You just get to be a tool in which I use to expand, grow, and have a lot of fun. And that's what I use you for. So thank you, ego.
Right on point. Right on point. Yeah, it might feel like craziness to some people when they first start noticing that, because um, we're so into like taking whatever comes up in their mind as our own and
Yep.
calling it our thoughts and whatever. But that's just like self-repeating songs that keep going back based on memories or experiences we have, and like coming back trying to protect us and do all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Well,
appreciated, but like, things, boy. Now come down a little bit.
yeah, 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 of course. Well, I wrote earlier today. Do you know fear is just a habit? We've been habituated to be in fear, but fear isn't real. Like it really isn't real.
Yeah, yeah,
We've just been culturally conditioned to respond from fear. So even when I have fear come up for me, I'm like, oh, I see you. And then I release you. You no longer, I no longer need you. Do not serve my experience. And the more you do that, the more you recognize that fear really is just a habit, and it shows up in all different ways. For me as a parent, it shows up in my kids. It shows up for me with finances. It shows up for me in relationship with Nana. It shows up in all the beliefs and narratives that I've experienced in my life and the stories that I've made up in regard to those experiences. But now, because I recognize that it's just a habit, it's just a pattern, I'm able to break the pattern because what will happen is, just for instance, Julie tells me she's coming home 11, 12, 'cause she's going out with her friends, right? My first thought is, oh my God, I hope she's safe, please. And I'm like, whoa, why do I have to even think that? And then all I do is thank you so much for giving my daughter the experiences she's meant to have and working for the highest good of all. That's literally how I break that fear cycle. And it happens all the time for me. So it's a practice. But every time I say that, I start to feel peace. And I know I'm in alignment when I'm in peace. And I know I'm out of alignment when I'm contracted. So, yeah.
Yeah. And going back to the body, you can tell by checking with the body if the body is relaxed. Your mind is relaxed because they're all going together, and there's nothing to worry about. You know. Oh, there you go. The damn confirmation. It's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is just Gail said this the other day in one of her posts, Gail Craft, and she and I are both proponents of this. Just give yourself permission to have a different experience. And I know you feel this way too. The minute you assume you know something, you've just blocked your ability to gain more insight. But the minute you say, huh, that's interesting what Yanko says, I'm open to understanding, then your mind will open up to deeper insights. But the minute you say you know it, nope. And that's why, like, even going further, when Ram Dass says it's not our job to, point out that people are in ego, it's not, because they're not even ready to hear it anyway, because they've already decided they know what their experience is going to be. So it's pointless.
I was just about to say that, and you give it your perspective, but it's the same thing. When fear comes in, I don't call it fear because I don't know what it is. Kind of like all those words that we're using, we're putting for some kind of condition or idea that we have, like love, fear, hate, all these other things. And it's just like, okay, there is something in the body, but I don't know what it is, and let's find out. And is it even in the body? Is it like maybe in the room around? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it something that it's, came out of like the body, or, you know,
It's
but
so
the minute,
interesting. I was in the kitchen yesterday with my brother. God love him. I I I love him. I cannot stand being in the same space with him. I really, really can't. My body goes absolutely fucking crazy. Now, I understand it's just an experience. I sit in there, but with the idea that I get to co-create my reality, and my reality is jubilation. I choose joy. When I'm in spaces when there's that really frantic, kinetic energy, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here quick. And yeah, I can come back to peace, right? I'm just like, wow, I'm having this experience. Um, and I give myself permission by leaving the space. And it's not because I judge people. It's just because I have figured out that I get to have the experience I want, and I don't want to be part of that experience. That gets to be your experience.
different game, but same thing. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I know you and me have very
Bonnie,
different perspectives. Your dad was sitting around people who were like, and I'm like, nah. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I'll do it
yeah.
for a little while, but I'm not. I like peace.
You know what I start saying, that if like that saying goes, that if everything is dark around and you can't see light, look inside you. Maybe you're the light in the time,
Oh,
or in that
100%.
situation. So, like, if you're in a room and we co-create it, and nothing happens by reason, you're in that room to either co-create or have that experience. So if you're in the room and you have that experience and you have that curiosity, and you go like, well, let's see what that goes, and then that also mellows and invites everything. So because then you're not escaping, you're not chasing, you're just present.
Yeah.
In a lot of the times, I see how everything changes. Either the people in the room get up and leave because they don't like that vibration, or they kind of melt down, or they can have different type of emotions and experiences that, calmness or whatever can remind them of something that they look forgot about that they have inside them, and just be in that space of like, and not even knowing why they're having that experience. So it's
Mhm.
not like I'm trying to chase it or escape it or anything. If I'm in the experience and it's happening, just observing the experience.
And sometimes I do, but more often than not, I'm just not interested in having that experience anymore, you know?
Yeah,
And that's the beauty about being different and, different strains of the collected one. We get to decide what feels uh and honors us and what it is we want to have for an experience.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because we're never having ever exact experience. We can be in the same time space and have totally different experiences. It's not going to be even close to what one experience with the other. And I wasn't understanding that to one point, but imagine how your imagination creates everything, because the body gives you all your senses and they go to your brain, and your brain interprets them somehow, and try to interpret them. And knowing for what I know, based on like working with hypnosis and other things, we naturally are in different states of like trance states, where we're experiencing negative and positive hallucinations through day-to-day operation. So you don't even know that experience that you're having, it's not some kind of hallucination of your mind that you're having in this moment. You know what I mean? So
So I mean, like if we're really down to the nitty gritty, like our thoughts create our reality. Everything is quote unquote the matrix. It's like a projection, right?
yeah,
We are the movie screen that is projecting our life, And so, that brings up a good point in that when I don't want to be in that space with my brother, what is it that I'm meant to learn so I don't project that image anymore? Because that is the lesson for me to unpack. So if I so choose, who knows?
yeah. Well, let's go back to comments. Bonnie says thinks I'm talking with my daughter and my aunt. Thanks, Kerri. Um, I don't know what is that related to,
Yeah,
or
I don't know what that
maybe.
means either. But cool. Um,
eh, And then she says, Yanko, sounds like you're not feeling well. I wasn't feeling well on Monday. I had 102, and now I'm feeling great, but my voice, or the voice, does not cooperate. So
You know what? You
it's,
sound like you guys know the Muppets and like the two old guys in the balcony. Oh, it's
yeah,
everybody
yeah, yeah,
super grouchy. That's who you sound like.
yeah.
I love it.
Well, it's gonna be entertaining because that's what's happening now. Might as well enjoy it, because next week it's not gonna sound like that.
I mean, yeah. So anyway, for anybody who's watching, please feel free to share your thoughts, comments, insights, or something you want to talk about. But for me, yeah, I work really hard to be in a state of curiosity, and yet I'm still pretty committed to feeling jubilation. If it doesn't bring me joy, I'm not interested in it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we're here on Earth, to have all kinds of experiences.
Well,
So
that's the thing is, and that's, I do want to touch upon what you said, that you realize that we could be in the same room, right? Same room,
yeah,
same quote unquote time, and have a totally different experience. And that is
yeah,
really true. And that's why it's a fundamental rule that there's no right or wrong, good or bad. They're just like, it's not my job to try to make you wrong or
mhm,
bad or good. I can bear witness to your experience and just stay curious about it and not judge it because I have no idea what led up to how you perceive your reality right now. I don't know what you went through over the course of your human experience and beyond. And so that's where like judge not comes up because when you don't judge anything, you can witness everything and not condemn it or even put it on a pedestal like it's the best thing ever because you really don't know.
Well, you might still have thoughts that are judgy that's coming automatically because the mind is being conditioned to reflect that way. But then you don't have to take it as yours and go and be hard on yourself because here you were sitting in silence and everything was fine, and you're just observing the oneness and how everything vibrates and moves and how creation is happening. And Alan Watts says people are peopling. I like to use that from time to time. Huh?
100%.
Yeah. And then because the mind it's like a monkey that's trying to catch everything that's like shiny or moving around, it starts to like name things all of a sudden because your eyesight crossed somebody that look interesting or different, and thought came out and you're like, oh crap, I was just in place and now I had this thought, and here you are, you're back sucked in the machine, or auto mode like I like to call it.
It's not necessarily a lot of judging could come from experience. Um, of course, judging comes from experience. I agree with you, Matt. But here's the reality: just because we judge doesn't mean it's true. You know, and to your point, Yanko, of course, we all inherently we have implicit bias. We judge,
Hmm.
but it's how do you observe that judgment? Can you recognize that that judgment isn't truth? It may have been embedded into you from your parents, from culture, from whatever, but it's not true. And so when I come from that lens, to your point, I don't judge myself or I'm not hard on myself for judging. I get more curious. I'm like, oh, that's interesting that that's coming up. Oh, that's interesting that that's coming up. And I just allow myself to be in that state of childlike wonder, which is written in the Bible, just being curious about everything.
Yeah. I like what he commented. He said, "I don't try to judge anything. Second is CRF, like I just go the other way."
Well, you know what? So here's the thing. I agree with you,
And the red
Matt.
flags are coming from experience.
You know what? Um, my intuition, my energy, my soul tells me. Like I don't even have to make up a story. I don't even know why some things. Like I'll be walking down the street and I'll catch a vibe and I turn the other way and I go down that street and I don't make up a story about what I experienced. I just honor my intuition, and that is truly where I encourage people. I laugh when people like, oh, so you have the intuition gift. No, we all are intuitive.
Yeah,
Conditioned ourselves out of
right.
our intuition, but every single one of us knows. Like we know when we have that gut feeling. As a mom, you know you have that gut feeling. As you know, I remember in corporate America, I just had some gut feelings and I listened to them. And the more I listened, the more my intuition became stronger to a point where I don't have to make up a story about why I'm not vibing in a situation. I just leave the situation.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And there's more.
That's interesting.
Go,
So,
go,
okay, Matt, I
go,
would
go
be
ahead.
curious what your thoughts are in terms of being a magnet, like attracting those experiences. Because for me, I mean, Nana asked me yesterday in our show, he said, if you could go back to your old self, your young self, and give that young self any feedback, would you? And I wouldn't. I would absolutely not change one iota of experience I've ever had, because it's allowed me to crack into higher levels of awareness for myself that I mean, I could have or would have or maybe wouldn't have experienced without going through everything. But I understand that, like, with my relationships that quote unquote were bad, which they weren't, they were gifts from my perspective, not making you wrong. Um, it was just a mirror reflection of the things that I wanted to examine within myself that didn't serve me, that didn't feel good for me, stories that I needed to let go. And once I started to let those stories go, I attracted totally different partners because I didn't see myself through the lens that attracted the my first person or my second person or whatever.
I was gonna share something else and say that, when you're in not as much separated as from consciousness, and you're having this like a oneness experience, then you kind of want to have that separation to be able to have different experiences. And not that they're good or bad, or just they're just experiences that we're having in different relationships. And it's kind of like what Kerri was saying. If you go back, I'll probably just tell myself, younger version, like, hold on, man, there's things coming up. It's gonna get interesting.
Yeah, but so even by saying that, right? Then you immediately open up a door for storytelling, especially for your younger self, because you wouldn't have had the consciousness level that you have now. So you'd be on a whole trip just trying to figure out what's going to happen. And so that's why,
Yeah,
like,
exactly, exactly, yeah,
like,
exactly.
because I mean, who I am versus who I was even 5 years ago is completely different on so many levels, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And so if I went back, I would have been talking to somebody completely different than who I am today. And so it wouldn't, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever. That's why, again, it's not my job to tell people when they're in ego. My job is to love. Our inherent nature is unconditional love, And so I really, if I struggle to have compassion or like really bear witness to somebody where they're at without judgment, the work I do is examining myself and asking myself what's coming up for me that's inhibiting my ability to just bear witness with love. And that's always going to be a me problem, not a them problem. It's a me thing for me to, and it's not even a problem. It's an opportunity to, you know, get gain more insight and awareness about myself.
All right, Big
How
Bob,
many red
the
grapes
fifth.
can you eat in 14 minutes and 12 seconds? Well, first off, I don't really eat grapes. And second of all, 14 minutes and 12 seconds, that is really pinpointed to like seconds. So I'm impressed. So thank you for sharing.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's you kind of thing. Then
Grapes? No, I
yeah.
lick balls, but I don't eat grapes.
Why did I
Ah!
have to? Did I have to go there? But I was
I
just gonna
always
say,
go there, Yanko.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
know what?
usually.
For you to even assume that I wouldn't is totally like on you, because I'm pretty much that character all the time.
No, I know. Um, I was gonna say everything gets boring, so I'll be interested to see what are you gonna time yourself eating next time.
Wait,
If you've
you're
done
gonna
this,
time
and
yourself eating? Yeah,
well,
but
he obviously. I'm just making an assumption based on
oh,
what he posted. Obviously, he timed himself to see if somebody else can beat his record or whoever, and he keeps comparing himself to other people asking the question. So after a while, when that gets old, then maybe he'll switch to I don't know, pineapples. Who knows? So
I
there you
love
go.
pineapple. Pineapple
All right,
snack.
let's catch up with some more comments. Thank you guys for sharing your thoughts
Yeah,
and
we appreciate it.
vibing with us. Yeah,
Not necessarily a magnet. People have relationships with experiences earned through going through the process. You can be in a relationship, then see the red flags later. Well, of
yeah,
course, because we grow in awareness as we
yeah.
move through experiences. That's 100%. But when you grow in awareness enough, you actually do come to understand that we attract all those experiences so that we can grow in awareness, right? So I'm going to give you, I know two people this week who have quote unquote major life experiences. One was fired from their job, another is like bumping up against somebody that's really causing them to question whether they're going to be able to be in that experience anymore. And I know from my own growth that these are gifts, that these two individuals are being presented with opportunities to make a different choice, one that feels more supportive for them. Get curious about what's coming up for them within these experiences, all these things. And that's where you grow in awareness. It's just that so many people believe that life is just happening to them rather than for them, and that we attract all these
That's
things to ourselves in
that's
order
important point.
more insight and awareness. And we are in fact magnets because we're energy, and like energy attracts like energy, right? And so you attract what you are, and then when you have these experiences that feel icky or hard for you, you start to examine, okay, well, why is this happening? And you just make different choices for yourself, and thus you attract different experiences.
Yeah, you can start small. You don't have to, manifest the $3 billion or whatever you want to do. I mean, now that not that that's impossible, but if you start, consciousness goes where attention flows. And sometimes I give that as an example to people because, like, if I tell them, "Hey, look around and tell me where the yellow is," or anything that you grab yellow, and then they'll look around and see yellow things or blue things, and then the end when you ask them, like, "Well, did you see like everything else faded when you're concentrated in the yellow? Everything else just kind of filled it out because your concentration, your consciousness was there, it was focusing in that particular color, and everything else, it was there, but you just kind of like spaced it out and it wasn't there anymore for you." So, in the same way, you might miss opportunities because you're narrowing your consciousness to specific things or specific things that you expect or outcomes that you expect in different situations. That's why when Kerri says, just be open minded to things, that gives you that wider filter to see more in a different situation instead of just concentrating in that one color.
And for anybody who's having a hard time, subscribing to that idea, science has like understood our brain has a reticular activating system. GPS, I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is where intentions can be very helpful because most people wake up and they're sloppy. You don't use your brain. We've never been taught to use our brain to work for us. We've just kind of gotten along. But as science has gotten better at understanding the different ways that our brain supports our experience, they know that if you tell your brain to find something, it's going to find it. It will
Yeah.
find it. It may not happen immediately, but it will. The the practice is getting out of your own way, because what will happen, and even I get caught up, right? So if I'm like, oh, I want to see a hawk, but then every 2 seconds, where's the hawk, where's the hawk, right? I'm literally blocking the signal that my brain emits to find the hawk. But if I just say, oh, I want to see a hawk today, and then forget about it, you best be believing I will see a hawk at some point within my experience in that day, or even within the hour now, because I vibrate at a higher frequency. So I manifest quicker.
All right, there is a follow up on that with the red flags.
Which one are you on? Because I see two. Like I'm in this. Okay,
Oh, maybe I missed the
I'm on it.
first one. Well, if I missed the first one, I thought that was the newer one that came out. You want to shift the one before it, or I thought we
Oh, no, no,
covered
no.
it?
That's fine. I was just curious where you were at. Well, what are your
No,
thoughts?
that's. Let me read through it real quick. Well, again, because now based on your experiences, you have assumptions that you made, like that's good or that's bad or whatever, because you had the red flags, and then when you operated that, you again narrowing down everything else that you can see, and you're just looking for that red flag. So any relationship or anything you go to, you already look for the red flags, like you call them, which narrows down and you're focusing on the negative instead of the positive, which is okay because by default, all humans are trained and teach to self-preserve and focus on the negative. And therefore, you might be missing on very many different opportunities, because that's how your brain is going to paint your reality at that moment. It doesn't really necessarily means that there could be one or two red flags that you call red flags, but there could be um, totally misread because based on your experiences again and everything else. I don't know. What is your thoughts?
Well, so here's the thing that I would say to Matt or anybody listening to consider. Again, me and Yanko, you can take everything I say and toss it over your shoulder, and I respect that because it gets to be your experience. But from what I have done in my own life, having studied the brain, having studied neuroscience, having studied quantum physics and all of the things. When I wanted to have a new relationship, I was alone. When I was ready for a new relationship, instead of focusing on all the things I didn't want, I wrote everything down that I did want. I wanted somebody who worked out in the gym. I wanted somebody who could make me laugh. I wanted somebody who was super independent. I wanted somebody who, you know, all these things. And I wrote it on an index card, and like the hawk analogy, I put it away. And then fast forward a year later, I'm a half an hour away from my house in a different state, and Nana comes out of the car at a gas station, and by all logical understanding, he wasn't even meant to be in that car. He just happened to jump in last minute. And so that's where I encourage people, what you just said, what we focus our attention on, we make manifest. So if I start to focus my attention on gratitude, which is a naturally loving energy, I start to experience more things to feel grateful for. And that's where scripture talks about focus on your internal narrative and everything else works itself out. That's 100% right. You don't have to problem solve or figure out how everything's going to work out. What your job is to do is to get clear on the experience that you want, and then give yourself permission to say, okay, I I am super grateful for the abundance in my life. And then you just start to attract more of the things you focus on rather than figure out you have to work through and problem solve the things that you don't want in your life.
I had a different idea, like a different point of view. Everything outside of you mirrors what's inside of you. And by moving away, you're missing the marks, missing the signs where you can recognize what's inside of you that you haven't dealt with. And once that's, and not in a way that you have to deal with it, like, going and doing the shopping or something that you actually have to do. It just takes a recognition to come out and know that this comes up in whatever red flag or whatever you want to call it. And once you recognize it, it will stop coming back. It's like everything reflects outside of like what's going inside. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can test it yourself. If you start being more present and mindful in situations and have real connections with people when there is conversations going or anything, you might start to see that you attract like-minded people to yourself, or you attract different type that other people don't attract. You're not gonna attract everyone by default just because that's who makes you. You know what I mean? But
Well, so and
again,
I also want to say, so I may have shared this story last week. No, I don't think I did. So I went to go get Nana in Boston on Sunday. He was at an anime convention, and because I parked opposite of where he was, it took me longer to get to him. And so I finally pull up, and I got to see his friends who I had met last year in New York City, and they were flying to Canada. And they actually were looking for a ride to the Boston airport. So I'm like, "Yo, I got the room. Just hop in." Right? So they attracted me. So then we're in the car, and these three guys who I love were telling me, they're like, "Wow, the experience we had in Boston was so nice. Everybody was super kind. We heard that people in Boston are assholes." I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys emit positive energy, and that's what you seek. So of course you're going to have that experience, because that's what you attract. You were able to attract a ride to the airport without working very hard, because you put out that, and so it comes back to you. And that is, guys, the law of cause and effect, that what you send out comes back to you. And so I am cognizant that when I'm scrappy and you know emitting anger or frustration, I don't judge myself. But when I experience that back to me, it reflects back to me. I laugh and I'm like, ha ha, I see you come back to me. So, I always think about the fact that, yes, to your point, Yanko, I agree with you. And we do attract our internal narrative. So, what is your internal narrative? And can you start to let go of some of the things that maybe feel icky? Because if you do, you attract more of what you want to experience in your life.
yeah, once you recognize it, there's no needing to do anything because you recognize it. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, and that doesn't come out because it's already being brought up from your subconscious to your conscious. You
Yeah.
know, because a lot of the times you run an autopilot, and I keep repeating myself, but I'll say this again. This is why New Year's resolutions don't work for people. Because you're doing it with your mind and you kind of muscle it up, but then all the programming that you've done for many years and years to come that are deep down inside your subconscious come up and you start going back on autopilot, and you call it life or destiny, whatever you want to call it. Once you start looking things that are actually coming up, then whatever was unconscious, now it's conscious. Now it's into your attention and you can recognize it. So it's no longer going to run your life on autopilot because that's what it was happening before. And then there is a follow up. I wonder
Yeah,
what
I
you
was
think
just
about that.
reading Matt's comments. I feel I am going to lovingly say that that's your experience, Matt, and I trust that that is true for you, but that isn't true for me.
Okay. Again, I'm going to take a different take on that and say that woman going relationship. Okay. Um, that doesn't change what I was gonna say, so I'm gonna say it. Again, you don't know what the other person is gonna say and what they're gonna do in the relationship. The moment you start narrating inside what the other person's gonna say on the other side, you're already trying to predict what's gonna be the outcome, and that's totally okay because that's a job of the brain in your mind to predict the outcomes to be able to save you and support you in a way where you don't get hurt. So, you know, predicting who's gonna say this and that, and I even see sometimes people that go and get to a point where they verbalize it and they have like internal conversations when they're taking him externally, and they might be walking in and talking about, yeah, you told me this, but guess what I'm gonna do, and this another thing, and they're having this whole like internal fight going on in between. That's number one. And then what was I gonna say? When you do it with your mind, again, it's a mind game because say been going into it looking for the plus and minuses, almost like you're trying to you're trying to compare life to a math equation where 2 plus 2 it's 4, and if I do the right thing and right combination of things, it's gonna happen. But life is so colorful and so different and expressive that if you start getting mindful of like how things are going on, that tear will fall short real quick because you're gonna recognize that you can't predict the future. You can map out what's gonna happen in 2 plus 2 equal 4 and come to a conclusion that's logical. And the third thing I'm gonna say also is that um, every one of us have a feminine and masculine energy inside them, and when the one is out of balance or the other, then this kind of things can happen too, because they're just out of balance. Either, and this is why you see the snake on the staff on the hospital signs, because you have the moon in the sign that connect to the left and right brain. It depends on like if you're logical or more in that one, you might cut the one side of you more um, versus the other, and start being more analytical in a way and developing that side and getting out of balance.
I love that you said that because okay, again, Matt, this is mine and Yanko's understanding. So you're not wrong or right. It's just what you know, and that's I respect it. However, so here's what Matt said that I feel called to speak to. Um, it's nature. Women are nurturing and try to correct wrongs. Men are problem solvers and navigate to provide. It's human nature. That's just a condition that we were that we've most people, myself for a really long time, subscribed to. But the reality is, for the listening audience, we operate with both masculine and feminine energy. And we exist in the experience of all being nurturers, men and nurturers too. And women are problem solvers. And to what Yanko was saying is yes, as a protective mechanism, we all inherently, for the most part, have leaned into one versus the other, right? Either you're really driven, logical. I was type A personality, a wicked control freak when I was working in corporate America because I believed that I had to be to survive. And then I realized that I had really disempowered the feminine energy in me. Not that I wasn't a nurturer, but like I didn't listen to my intuition and stuff. And so, what I would say to the listening audience is we exist with both feminine and negative energy. And that snake, to what Yanko was describing, is the coming home to homeostasis, which is what science would say, to balance, to recognizing that
Yep.
we operate in that oneness. That is wholeness.
Yeah.
So, you know, Matt, I hear you because I really truly experienced what your understanding is for many, many years. And again, that's your truth and I respect it and I thank you for sharing. But I know for myself as I've moved through awareness and levels of consciousness that we are both problem solvers and nurturers, and really we don't even have to problem solve, we just exist and it kind of figures itself out for itself.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no gender. Everything it's androgynous. But because of the nature of how everything operates here, we're in the world of duality where you got to experience both ends. and that also not only give you ability to experience different states in your life, but also gives you the ability to find the balance between swinging too much the one way or the other way. Because if you start swinging the one way, you might go like, oh, okay, I know I'm getting out of balance. I'm getting to be more like this, and then you find your balance back on.
Yep,
So
100%.
if it's another, let's see. Go ahead. You smiling.
I am.
Go ahead.
I just have a different understanding.
But
So
did
here's,
you?
I'm going to just say this. We are all each other's miracles. When I go unconscious, which I do often, and what that means is I stop being in the present moment, right? I'm either in the past or I'm in the future, thinking about
Yeah.
what's going to happen, or I'm worried about like I'm ruminating on past. That's it, right? Then Yanko will drop into my messages and say the exact thing that pulls me back into this present moment in which I am whole, complete, and at peace, right? I'm in this experience. And so it doesn't matter whether it's your wife, your child, whether it's a teacher, we are all each other's miracles in that we offer the gift of presence, the gift of this moment. And so there's no strength or weakness. It's just presence. It's just awareness. It's just um this moment is which is all we have. So yes, with regards to Nana, is he a beautiful mirror for me? Yeah. But it's really the greatest gift he ever gives me is just to remind me to come home to now, to stop being in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is the thing. Again, don't take our word for it. For many years, I've been very analytical, and I was stressed out for many years. And until I started to meditate and just kind of sitting in peace and watching what the internal narrative goes in, or feelings in the body, and all these other things, and ultimately coming to an experience where I know beyond the shadow of a mind that everything it's oneness. We're just playing it like 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 a like a show. That's why a lot of people say the world is a stage and we all play a different character. We come and we do our thing, not because we're inherently bad or good. It's just because that's what feels okay at that very moment. It's just natural. It's just something that happens, kind of like the sunset or the sunrise. It's something that happens, and you're in the happening. And if you can stay in the present, in the happening, in the oneness, then you have more of those where moments where you perfect, whole, and complete, and nothing it's lacking. But when you get to that moment, there is also a pull because you're conditioned to have all those other experiences. So automatically you'll be pulled back to duality where you're gonna have different experiences because that's also fun. Somebody yelling at you down the street because you're loud or doing something, or you're
'Cause
just
I was
being
swinging
you.
at the gym. I got
Yeah.
yelled at by a guy, and him made me laugh because it helped me see the little girl in me who still needed to be free. But you're right. Yes, I interjected.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Like this is why I think we're making a good combination.
Yeah.
We
Well,
keep
first off, I mean, not first off, but Matt, I love that you engage in conversation with us. This is the second time, I believe, or maybe the third that you showed up and shared your insights. And I am in deep gratitude for the energy exchange because it's a gift to Yanko and myself. And
yeah.
for any of the listening audience, I really appreciate all of you guys. I agree with Yanko. Please, I am not a fan of just believing anything because somebody says. Just
Yeah, try it.
if you're at all inspired to put into practice anything, do it. And if it doesn't feel good, then you're not meant to in the first place, not at this time. Eventually, what Yanko and I have come to understand is truth is you're all gonna understand this. It's something we're all coming home to knowing, but where you're at in your journey is individualized. It's why your relationship with creation is super personal, because everybody has their own experience. With regards to meditation, if anybody is like, ugh, I hear it all the time, up, I can't meditate and stuff. You can meditate by just paying attention to your feet walking against the concrete, just being aware, or watching the breath go in and out of your body, even for 10 seconds, because that 10 seconds will turn into 11 seconds, which will turn into 30 seconds. And so that is the power of training your brain to exactly what Yanko said, which is coming back to this present moment where you're whole and complete. It's you're just training your brain to come back home. And in the beginning, it was super duper hard for me to really be still. And I, like Yanko, was a very analytical, fact driven individual. It's why I studied quantum physics. I didn't come to this reality that we are created by creation, which is energy wanting to experience itself, through religion or theology. I came to it through science because I needed quantifiable and qualitative data. So
Yeah.
I will leave you with that. And then anything you want to further add, Yanko?
No, I think I'll leave it for next time, because we're getting close to that hour and it's been an hour long show. And we do that every Friday, guys. Thank you. Like Kerri said, it's an energy exchange. We appreciate you, appreciate the questions. Um, we're here to share time space with you guys, drink our coffee, talk, talking, uh, talk
I'll do
about
the
things
Vanna
that,
White with my
you know,
skulls. Skull, skull,
with the
skull.
skulls. And I'm
Uh,
I'm in the red teams today. I wear red and I
let's
have
use
hearts
like
and all
a
that.
heart, which is
Yeah,
what
there you
we
go.
are. Nothing but pure love and energy, magnetized. Okay, that's all I got. I mean, I could sing more, but I'm not going to.
Well, that's okay. So thanks again, guys.
Cheers.
We Yeah, we appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend and join us next Friday. We'll love to have you with us.